Alright, guys, we are back with another one here today. We are talking about Young Sherlock Holmes. This film is directed by Barry Levinson, written by Chris Columbus, and executive produced by Steven Spielberg. This film has such a great story. It's tightly written, there are plenty of setups and payoffs, and it just has this kind of charming feel to it in like certain parts of the film, combined with like darker elements in the journey. In a way, this is like a perfect kind of foreshadowing for what Columbus would do when he got to direct Harry Potter. The kid actors here did such a great job with their roles. Sherlock Holmes, Watson, and the love interest. They play them with such, well, I don't really know how, but like they do such a great job with them. The guy who does Sherlock Holmes is just fantastic, like in general. I would have loved to have seen these characters in more films had they continued after this one, or if this one wasn't a failure. Columbus's writing and Levinson's directing is also just a perfect combination. We already know Columbus can do great writing, as we saw in Gremlins, and what he would later do with films like Harry Potter, Home Alone. And Levinson's direction, like, keep in mind, I've not seen any of his other films, but here, he does such a great job with it, and it gets me excited to want to see his other films, like Diner and Sleepers, and his upcoming Alto Nights. The aesthetic of this film is just beautiful. I love the kind of wintry London that's shown here. I would love to just go there and just live and like kind of see what it would be like to live in the Victorian era that this film shows. And there are also just plenty of beautiful shots, like Holmes and Watson running, and many wide shots of the town at night. And not to mention just how well choreographed like the sword fight is at the end. It's just top-notch directing. Now, this isn't perfect, sadly. I wish it could have been. My problems are, one, the CG, while like revolutionary at the time, is kind of iffy now. Like, I feel like it would have been cool to have seen it back then, but looking at it now, it's like, yeah, this is pretty early on. And the other problem I have is the narration at the ending. Like, I honestly feel like it wasn't really needed there. Like, what I would have loved was instead of just the narrator telling us, like, for the next journey and all, I would have loved to have seen Watson say, "Until then, the game's afoot." That would have been, like, such a great way to end the film, but, I mean, what we have is just fine, I guess. But everything else about the movie is great. It's like, I really enjoyed Young Sherlock Holmes. And again, I would have loved to have seen, like, a follow-up to this. So I could see more of, like, of the other adventures Holmes and Watson would have. Especially with, like, this take on the characters. So yeah, just a great time all around.